Hey everyone, and welcome. Sometimes the most amazing research is hiding behind a title that feels, well, like you need a special decoder ring to even read it. Today, we're going to tackle one of those titles. We're going to turn some serious academic jargon into a story that actually makes sense. So, let's dive in. Okay, here it is. I mean, look at that. At first glance, it's a mouthful, right? It just looks complicated. Vertical and horizontal approaches? Ethnography? What does that even mean? But stick with me because I promise you, by the end of this, every single one of those words is going to feel simple. We're just going to treat it like a puzzle. So how do you solve any puzzle? You don't just stare at all the pieces at once, right? No, you find the corners, you work on one little section at a time. And that is exactly what we're going to do here. We are going to break this title down piece by piece and build ourselves a little roadmap to understand the whole thing. And here are our 4 puzzle pieces. We're going to start with the biggest, broadest idea, language policy. Then we'll get into how it's studied, which is ethnography. After that, we'll look at the really specific technique, these vertical and horizontal approaches. And finally, we'll see where this all goes down in Peru. So let's grab that first piece. All right, first up, language policy. This is kind of the setting for our whole story. It's the big what, the thing the researchers are actually looking at. So what is it, really? Well, put simply, language policy is just all the official decisions that people in charge, governments, school systems, make about language. It could be something huge, like declaring an official language for an entire country. Or it could be deciding what languages get taught in schools, or even what language is used on street signs. It's basically the top-down, official rulebook for how language works in a society. Okay, so we know what they're studying, but how do you even study something like that? And that's where our next puzzle piece comes in, the research method. The method they're using is called ethnography. And the big idea here is actually pretty cool. It's all about studying a culture from the inside, not from the outside looking in. Think about it like this. A researcher could study a company by reading its official website, right? Or they could go get a job there, eat in the cafeteria, listen to the gossip, and see how things really work. That second way, getting on the inside to get the real story, that's the heart of ethnography. Now we're getting to the really juicy part of this title. We know they're studying language policy, and we know they're doing it by getting on the inside. But this title tells us they're looking at it from 2 totally different angles. Just think about this for a second. We all know there's a huge difference between the official rule and what happens in real life, don't we? The sign says the speed limit is 55, but how fast is everyone actually driving? That gap right there, between the rule on the books and the reality on the ground, that's what this research is obsessed with. So how do you study that gap? Well, you look at it from 2 directions at once. First, you take the vertical approach. Think top-down. This is where you're reading the official laws, the government papers. You're getting the view from the CEO's office. But then you take the horizontal approach. This is ground up. You're out there, listening to how people really talk, watching how they interact every day. This is the view from the company cafeteria. And it's only when you combine both that you really see what's going on. So we've got the what, the how, and the specific angles. But right now, all of this is just an idea. To see how it actually works, you have to go somewhere real. And that leads us to the final piece of our puzzle. Why Peru? Because a place like Peru is the perfect real-world laboratory where all these ideas crash into each other. It's where you can actually watch an official language policy get put into practice. It's where you can see the top-down, vertical rules from the government meet the real, day-to-day, horizontal lives of the people. It's the perfect spot for an ethnographer to get in there and see it all up close. Okay, we've looked at all 4 pieces of the puzzle. Now, for the best part, let's click them all together and finally see the whole picture. So here's how it works, plain and simple. Step 1, a policy gets made at the top. That's our vertical view. Step 2, people down on the ground have to live with that policy. That's our horizontal view. And step 3, the researcher, the ethnographer, literally steps right into that gap between the 2 to figure out what's really happening. See? It's a perfect, logical flow. And here's the big aha moment. That long, confusing title we started with, it's not just a bunch of fancy words. It's the entire research plan. It's the what, the how, the where, and the why, all jammed into one super efficient sentence. It's brilliant, actually. So let's look at it one more time. It's a study using two perspectives, vertical and horizontal, with an on-the-ground method, ethnography, to look at the official rules about language policy, in one specific place, Peru. It's not so intimidating now, is it? In fact, it's crystal clear. And this brings us to why this whole thing is so cool. That gap between the vertical and the horizontal, between the official rules and reality, it isn't just in some academic paper. It is everywhere. So the real takeaway here isn't just what the title means, it's about why this way of thinking is so powerful. Think about the official rules at your job versus how work really gets done. By looking both vertically at the rules and horizontally at the culture, you get the whole story. This isn't just about decoding a title, it's about getting a new lens to understand that fascinating, messy, and totally human gap between what's supposed to be and what really is.